Good afternoon, everyone online. Welcome to the Woodstock Committee of Adjustment. I'm told, good to go. Any declaration of conflict of interest from any of the committee members before we get started? Seeing none, can I have a mover and a seconder for the April 12th meeting minutes? Moved by Peter, seconded by Glenn. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Alicia has told me there is no business arising from the minutes nor correspondence. To let everyone know that's online, the procedure for the meeting is the senior planner gives a report on each application. The applicant will then have an opportunity to respond if they so wish. I will then ask those online if there's anyone in favor of the application or anyone against the application. It then goes to the committee for resolution and consideration of the application. That's the procedure for each and every application. So the first application tonight is Jessica Watts, 7 Fiddler Avenue. Andrea, you may begin.
Thank you. So the first application tonight is a minor variance. It's MV 22-21. And I just will share my screen here. So we're all talking about the same thing. So the applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum interior side yard width from 1.2 meters to 0.7 meters, to increase the maximum height from 4 meters to 4.4 meters. And this would be to facilitate a detached garage as well as a covered porch. So I'll just scroll down here. And so basically what the applicant, as you can see, they have a swimming pool in the rear yard. They're proposing to reconstruct a garage that was recently damaged badly by a fire. It'll have to be removed. And so then the reconstructed garage will be in the same location. It'll be slightly larger and it'll have a covered porch, and the covered porch will be part of the pool area. And as the chair pointed out, the application is for the lands located at 7 Fiddler Avenue. So I just have a couple of things that I need to add here. So upon further staff review, it was noted that the applicant is actually exceeding the overall coverage for accessory structures. They're allowed to have 75 square meters or 10%, whichever is the lesser. In this case, they're proposing 54.8 square meters, and that includes the covered porch, but that exceeds the 10%. So they're looking to increase it to 13.6%. And this was noted by staff upon the review. And so staff are recommending that the committee also consider that additional relief. Further to that, we also noted that, and this was included in Craig's comments, that, and the committee will be quite familiar with this, as you know, when an accessory structure is constructed closer to the lot line, they also have the eaves and gutters and the overhang come closer. And so generally that provision is 0.6 meters, and the applicant in this case would be decreasing that to 0.15 meters. So I have sent that additional relief over to Alicia, and she's included it. So I would ask that the committee also include that. And then just for clarification, we did not feel that further circulation or further public notification was required, as the nature of the application didn't change, and that the applicant was still proposing the same building with the same size and whatnot. And it was just something that staff caught along throughout the review period. So we would just ask that the committee also consider that additional relief. So the overall size of the property is 546.52 square meters. And currently on the subject property is a 2-story single detached dwelling. And then also that detached garage that the applicant has indicated will be removed. And we've also included a condition to that effect as well to ensure that it is removed. The building department provided comments and they were satisfied with the proposal. They included a number of conditions of approval. They relate to the eaves and gutters and the downspouts, making sure that they're draining in the right direction and not on neighboring properties. They included the one speaking to the removal of the existing garage. They also requested that the enclosed porch, that the applicant understand that the enclosed porch cannot be enclosed at any point in time. And then further to that, we did receive comments from Hydro One, and because there is a hydro line that runs down this city lane from Fiddler to Blandford Street, Hydro One indicated that there had to be a certain clearance horizontally and vertically for the accessory structure to ensure that the building didn't interfere with the lines or the swing of the lines. And so the building department included a condition to ensure that that was checked before a building permit is issued, and that would be in consultation with Hydro One. So the lands are designated, pardon me, low density residential, and the zoning is residential zone 2. The proposed accessory structure would be in keeping with both the official plan and it maintains the general intent of the provisions, in that the proposed reduction in the interior side yard is not anticipated to affect any sort of parking, drainage, or amenity area. It is exceeding the overall coverage for accessory structures. However, combined with the dwelling and the accessory structures, it's only 29% lot coverage, whereas the R2 zone allows up to 47%. So staff are satisfied that there's still adequate space for grading, drainage, and amenity space, as well as landscaping. We also felt that the proposal was in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and would not have a negative impact on any neighboring properties. So in light of that, we would recommend that the application be given favorable consideration, subject to the conditions and in addition to the relief that I spoke to at the beginning of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Jessica, are you online?
Hi, yes, ma'am.
Jessica, you have a positive plan report, so you need not speak unless you wish.
If you have any questions, we'll answer them.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for Jessica also. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, it comes back to the committee for a resolution. Moved by Peter, seconded by Jennifer. Any questions of the committee? All in favor? All in favor? Bill? Bill, are you in favor? I guess you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Opposed?
Can you see
Carried.
me?
Carried. Jessica, there's a 20-day
Yeah.
waiting period.
Can you see me?
Yep, I do now. Jessica, there's a 20-day waiting period. Otherwise, your application has been approved.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you. Next application is 26 Stafford Street. Mitchell Zacco. Mitchell, are you online? Are you
Yes,
online,
I am.
Mitch?
I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So this application is for lands located at 26 Stafford Street, and the applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum required area for a converted dwelling house from 540 square meters to 466 square meters. And they're also looking to reduce the lot frontage for converted dwelling house from 18 meters to 13.25 meters. And then this would facilitate a second dwelling unit that would be contained in the basement of the existing dwelling. And then another note from staff is upon review of the application, it was actually noted that the applicant had requested relief from the minimum lot area from 540 meters to 466 meters, but the building department indicated that the property is actually 473 square meters. And so actually less relief is required than was requested. And again, staff don't feel that further circulation is required in this case because it's less relief that's required than what was asked for. Currently, the subject property contains a single detached dwelling. The application was circulated and building staff are supportive of the application. They did request a condition that the owner provide the required parking space requirements for a converted dwelling house, which is 1 space per unit, and they cannot be in tandem, so they have to be side by side. So the applicant, upon review or upon approval, would have to provide proof to the building department that they were able to provide those 2 required parking spaces. The property is located in the low density residential designation, which supports converted dwelling houses, and the property is zoned residential zone 2, which also supports converted dwelling houses with up to 2 units. The applicant is not proposing any exterior renovations, and staff are satisfied that the site is adequately sized to provide off-street parking, landscaping, drainage, and private amenity space. And we also feel that because they are not proposing any sort of exterior renovations, that the proposal is in general keeping with the character of the area. And based on that, staff are supportive of the application, subject to the condition of the building department.
Thank you, Andrea. Mitchell, you have a positive planning report, so you need not speak unless you wish. Mitchell?
Okay, yep, that sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee for a resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Bill, seconded by Jennifer. Any questions of the committee? All in favor? Carried. And so there's a 20-day waiting period before the application becomes effective. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Third application, Randall Rudy. Randall, are you online? Randy, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. 734A Salter Avenue. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So this application for minor variance is with respect to the permission of recreational and the provisions of the recreational and utility vehicles, and it's for lands located at 734A Salter Avenue. The applicant is requesting relief to permit a 6.9 meter by 2.4 meter motorhome with a maximum height of 2.7 meters. And the applicant is requesting to park the RV in the front yard parking area from May 1st to October 31st. The subject property is approximately 680 square meters in area, and it's occupied currently by a single detached dwelling with an attached garage, an above ground pool, as well as a small garden shed. I think I actually have an aerial here. So the applicant has come forward. They initially came forward as a delegation to City Council, requesting that City Council consider amending the provisions for the RV recreational vehicle parking. And from there, council went forward and directed staff to come up with a number of options. Staff provided a number of options to council, and then from there, staff were directed to pursue a zone change application to amend the provisions of the bylaw. And the request, so the direction was to amend the provisions to permit recreational vehicles in the front or exterior yards for up to 72 hours per month for the months of May to, I believe it was October 1st. The intent of the proposed amendments would allow then for occasional recreational parking, and generally would allow the owners and the residents to basically park their RVs, clean them out, load and unload them for up to 72 hours per month in the summer months. Council denied the application on April 15th. And so the applicant has come forward to amend those provisions to allow for the parking of his RV on his property. So staff reviewed the application. Building staff were generally supportive of the application. They feel that Mr. Rudy has a long driveway, which would permit an RV to be parked in it, as well as he has a driveway that would be wide enough to park vehicles side by side on the property. The building department indicated also that that because the driveway was so long, they didn't have concerns with sight lines. However, the planning department reviewed the application, and we felt that the application is not in keeping with the provisions of the zoning bylaw in light of council's recent decision to not approve any sort of parking in the front yard or exterior side yard for RVs. We did not think that it was appropriate to support an application that would allow for basically an RV to be parked for approximately 6 months of the year in the front of a driveway, or sorry, in a driveway in front of a dwelling. We did feel that that this can have a negative impact on the aesthetics of the streetscape, and it could potentially set an undesirable precedent in similar residential neighborhoods. Not everyone has the space for RVs to be parking them in residential areas, and generally we get the impression that council did not want to amend the provisions at all, and so we felt that going from basically not allowing them at all to allowing them for 6 months was not a minor deviation from the existing provisions. And we have concerns that it could potentially be undesirable for the area. So in light of that, we would recommend that the application be denied.
Thank you, Andrea. Randy, you have a negative plan report. Do you have any brief comments? They must be brief and they must be to the point.
My brief comments are, it's unfortunate. It's a community standard within Ontario.
I'm sorry, repeat.
My brief comments are, it's unfortunate the planning department believes this since it's a community standard in Ontario.
Thank you, Randy. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application, that it's going to be, that the recommendation be to deny the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the denial of the application? Hearing no one, it comes back to the committee. Is there a motion? Sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Sorry, Len, I should have also pointed out that, and I apologize for doing this after the fact, but I should have pointed out that we did receive letters in support of the proposal, and we did receive a letter from a neighboring property owner, which I believe that the committee has, in opposition to the application.
Yes, we have all those letters, Andrea. Okay, it comes back to committee for a resolution. Moved by. For denial. Moved by Peter, seconded by Bill. Any discussion, questions from the committee members? All in favor of the denial of the application? Unanimous. Thank you. The application is denied. Randy, I'm sorry, that's the decision of the committee. You may wish to amend your application or come back to city council, whatever, but that the decision of this committee is binding and final. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is Andrew Pickard, 181 Tamarack. Andrew, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry, Andrew. Andrea, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll just share my screen here again. So the next application is an application for property located at 181 Tamarack Boulevard, and the applicant has applied for relief to reduce the rear yard depth from 5 meters to 2 meters to facilitate the construction of an in-ground swimming pool and an accessory structure in the rear yard of the subject property. I do have a sketch here. It's a little bit difficult to discern what the applicant is proposing here, but basically this is the rear yard. There's a total of a 9-meter depth in the rear yard, and there is a 5-meter setback because the property has a site-specific zoning. It's an R1-20. So the site-specific zoning was established through the draft plan of subdivision, which is for the surrounding subdivision, and I can just go over. Here's the subdivision, and it was established back in 2012. At the time, the site-specific zoning as well was applied to these properties along the back here, and this is the subject property. And basically what the setback was established for is for a standard 2 park. There is a hedgerow in here that contributes to a larger natural heritage feature, which is identified as a significant feature. And so at the time, in support of the draft plan of subdivision, the applicant for the subdivision included an environmental impact study. Through the environmental impact study, it was recommended that a 5-meter setback be maintained from the rear yard or from the rear lot line. And so basically within that 5 meters, the site-specific zoning indicates that no accessory structures and no pool, including swimming pools, can be included in that setback. And so basically it's supposed to be maintained as a naturalized area, as it, like I indicated earlier, it contributes to a larger natural heritage feature. The application was reviewed by building staff, and they indicated that they feel that there could potentially be flexibility for the site and to accommodate the pool and accessory structures. However, they're also respectful of the requirements of the environmental impact study, as well as any sort of recommendations that came forward through the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. So just for the committee's information, generally the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, they review the environmental impact studies for any sort of county applications. And so they also included comments in light of the application, and they basically are in support of the environmental impact study, which recommended the buffer be maintained. However, they also understand that the applicant is seeking to make changes and looking for relief, and potentially if this 5-meter setback is maintained, they would not be able to potentially accommodate a pool in the backyard. And so what the Upper Thames recommended is that potentially, if the committee is in agreement, that a tree preservation plan be undertaken for this property. And basically it would determine the trees on the site. It would determine the drip line of trees off the site and on the site. And it would determine where, if at all, a setback could be reduced to accommodate the accessory structure and the pool. And so basically the Upper Thames recommended a deferral until this tree preservation plan could come forward, and it would be undertaken by a qualified consultant, and it would be in consultation with the City Parks Department as well as Upper Thames. And so in light of Upper Thames recommendation, the planning department would agree that the application should be deferred for the time being until we have a tree preservation plan, and we can make any sort of further determinations at that point in time.
Thank you, Andrea. Andrew, are you in concert with this deferral that's recommended by this planners?
No, I'm not. Long-term, yes, but currently we did not know about this zoning area since we started building this house. So I just found out over a month ago when I submitted my pool and fence permit. So I've put together a PowerPoint presentation to show you pictures of the current condition after the trees have been removed, which was on May 3rd, that I'd like to present to everyone.
Andrew, that's all well and good, but the point is, we can't override what Upper Thames are requiring, no matter what you present to us today. If you go along with the deferral, I would suggest you're better off negotiating something with Upper Thames and the city, and then coming back to us with a solution. We can't help you with your points, and the committee has all of your letters, has your PowerPoint presentation in front of you. And that's my recommendation, is to go along with this deferral, because we cannot, if you're asking us to override what the Upper Thames is recommending, we can't do that.
Okay, so deferral, the variance, the cost for me putting in a variance.
No, there is no cost. You already have an application in place with us. There's no extra cost. It will come back to a future meeting, hopefully next month.
Okay.
Now, do the
Cool.
other committee members have anything to chime in here with? Bill? Bill, go ahead. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Bill.
Are you speaking to me, sir?
No, I'm speaking to Bill Bess.
Sure.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Bill.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
To Andrew, is that the what is in front of you is the preferred way to go, and the Upper Thames they're quite reasonable to deal with. Just present them your proposals and plan, and I'm sure that if you come back to the committee next month, you'll probably get the go-ahead. But you have to go to the proper channels.
thank you, Bill. Any other committee members wish to comment? Andrew, it comes back to you. Are you satisfied to have this deferred, because there's no further cost for your application fee, but there will be costs, of course, for you to provide the tree plan and whatever.
Just the cost of the tree plan, it could cost thousands of dollars. I have a pool booked early for next month. Hopefully we can get this resolved before then. I've been on a waiting list for over a year. And
I
like
know.
I said, the most disappointing thing is nobody knew about this. I even called the city of Woodstock before we even started building this lot, because there's an easement beside us. And I called them to confirm that we were able to build a pool and fence and get a pool and fence permit. And the only item that was disclosed to me was that I had to stay 2.75 meters away from the easement. There was nothing talked about a zone area. So to me, as a homeowner, that's disappointing.
I know, and I think the committee is sympathetic to what quandary you've got yourself into here, but we really want to wait and see if we can help you when this comes back before this committee, and hopefully have a resolution by then. But that's about all we can do at this point. Thank you, Andrew. Committee members, can I have a motion to defer, please? Moved by Glenn, seconded by Bill. All in favor of deferral? Unanimous. Thank you. Andrew, best of luck getting something put together, and come back and see us next time. Thank you. Last application today is 518 Highland Drive, Jody Onashenko. Jody, are you online? Thank you.
Yes, we are.
Go ahead.
Okay, the last application before the committee tonight is for lands located at 518 Highland Drive. The applicant is proposing to reduce the minimum interior side yard width from 1.2 meters to 0.64 meters on the south side of the property. And then also to reduce the minimum required interior side yard width from 3 meters to 2.74 meters. Actually, and I should indicate that relief, the second relief that I just noted, is not actually, when you, I'm sure the committee noticed this in the purpose of the application. It was determined that that actually is not required. There's a 1.2 meter requirement and a 3 meter requirement, and both of those are being satisfied. And the 3 meter is being satisfied. And so that is no longer required. That being said, there is a requirement, just like the first application, that sorry, did I mix that up?
I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Yes, just a second. I think I've mixed that up. So it says that the first request for relief should actually in fact be from section 5.1.1.1, and instead there was an error, and it was for section 6.2. So just so the committee knows that that section should be for accessory structures, and whereas 6.2 is for the main dwelling. And then with respect to the interior side yard width, from the 3 meters to the 2.74 meters to facilitate the construction of the detached garage. It says here, as the minimum side yard provision of 1.2 meters and 3 meters are being met, this provision will, I don't believe that this provision is required. That being said, there is relief that is required for the setback from the eaves and gutters, so the overhang. And it actually is in fact the same relief that's required for the first one tonight. So it's from 0.6 meters to 0.15 meters. And we have included that in the recommendation for the committee's consideration. The application was reviewed by staff. Staff are supportive of the application to facilitate the detached garage. And the lands are located in the low density residential area, and the lands are zoned R1. So the proposed accessory structure is in keeping with the designation as well as the general provisions for the zoning. The application was circulated to the general public, and we did not receive any comments relating to the application. We feel that the site is adequately sized, that there can still be adequate drainage and amenity space as well as landscaping, and there's adequate space around the garage to allow for normal property maintenance. We also feel that the application will not have a negative impact on any of the neighboring properties. And so in light of that, we would recommend that this application be given favorable consideration.
Andrew, for benefit of the committee as well as the applicant, your suggestion or recommendation, I should say, is only relief from section 5193.
So in response to the chair's question, the relief that is required to facilitate the detached garage is from section 5.1.1.1, and that's to reduce the required interior side yard setback from the 1.2 meters to 0.6 meters, and that's on the south side of the property. Oh, I'm showing you all, and I'm no longer sharing it, so that's not helpful.
That's all right.
So it's right here, so you can see that it goes down to the 0.64 meters. And then the other relief that is required is for the eaves and gutters and the overhang. And that's from section, as you indicated, Mr. Reeves, is from section 5.1.9.3. And that's from 0.6 meters to 0.15 meters. And so where the confusion was at the beginning, that I made a bigger mess up, is that the original request came in at additional relief from 3 meters to 2.74 meters, and that's for the main dwelling. And the reason why we require that is we require 3 meters on one side and 1.2 meters on the other side, and that's for parking. And so in this case, you can see that there's more than 3 meters on this side, and this could be the 1.2 meters. So that relief is no longer required.
Understood, understood. Does the applicant, Jody, do you understand where we sit, that you don't require all the relief that you asked for?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, you have a positive planning report. I hope you understand what Andrea has told the committee. You have a positive planning report, so you need not speak unless you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online wishing to speak for the application? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against the application? Hearing no one, comes back to the committee. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the planner's recommendation, please? Moved by Jennifer, seconded by Bill. Any comments, questions from the committee? All in favor? Unanimous, carried. Jody, there's a 20-day waiting period before this becomes effective, but you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The only thing left is an adjournment. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Glenn, seconded by Peter. All in favor?